One of the most challenging things about Yu-Gi-Oh games is trying to make the best deck possible given your limited resources at the start of the game. You're typically given a pretty trash starting deck and only a small selection of packs which make up your base card pool that you have to build with. This card pool and deck building progression is probably one of the most important aspects of any Yu-Gi-Oh game playthrough, especially in regards to the difficulty of the game. And well, let's just say, this classic Yu-Gi-Oh game gave us all the tools we need to become filthy rich after just 2 duels, allowing us to buy the most broken and expensive cards in the game, which make beating it an absolute walk in the park. This is how to get rich quick in GX Duel Academy. Now there's quite a bit you have to accomplish in this game to reach King of Games. You have to take a minimum of 12 exams in which you need to answer a bunch of these multiple choice questions correctly. It's got the normal field of duel puzzles that you need to solve. You need to beat all the main duelists in the game 10 times each, but the hardest part of this game by far is the 4th requirement, which is collecting at least 1 copy of every single card in the game. This would normally require you to carefully manage your budget the entire playthrough by balancing your deck building needs with your card collection needs. However, there are 2 specific details about the way this game was made, which make the last and hardest requirement the easiest of them all. The first is the inclusion of special events. These are things that occurred during the story mode of the game, and most of them are pretty negligible, such as friends asking you to walk home with them, your dorm professors giving you a card gift for Christmas, and even events that resemble actual parts of the story, such as Alexis catching you at the Obelisk Blue Girl's dorm. But there is one specific event in this game that quite literally provides us a wealth of opportunity. You see, for each monthly test, you need at least 300 points over the 3 combined categories, but if you don't reach that amount, you will automatically fail and your rank will fall to the lowest possible title of Dropout Boy. And every time you fail a test and become a Dropout Boy, it triggers a special event with one of my favorite characters in this game, Fontaine, who's the head of the Obelisk Blue Girl's dorm. She'll be consistently waiting for you at the gym on the weekends at all times of the day. Although this won't immediately appear after your first test, as Fontaine is programmed to start appearing on a specific day, which is a couple weeks after the first test ends. And if you decide to meet her there, then she'll inform you that if you beat her in a duel, she'll secretly raise your rank, and most importantly, she'll include a duel reward bonus equal to the amount of life points that you had at the end of the duel. This gives us a very early farming opportunity and is the only event in the entire game that has one of these special DP rewards built into it. What's even more convenient is that even though there are only 4 packs available at the start of the game, one of them actually contains a bunch of life gain cards that can help us get the most out of this event. The best ones being the Healing Waifus, Dancing Fairy, Spirit of the Breeze, and Cure Mermaid, which have pretty weak stats, but thanks to the AI, we can leave something like a Spirit of the Breeze in attack mode if we also back it up with a strong monster like Goblin Attack Force or Zombira the Dark, who are also conveniently both in this pack as well. You could drag this duel out pretty long for a ton of DP, but we only need to do this once, and we only need to get around 40 to 45,000 DP. Because that's where our second part of this game comes in, and that's the Primal Seed Farm. You see, in this game, it's possible to get an infinite loop going, and this is done by using a simple setup of Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, Banisher of the Light in face-up whatever position, and 2 copies of Primal Seed. This will constantly remove anything that goes out of play, and basically means that you can recycle a magic or spell card infinitely for as long as you have this board set up. And in order to abuse the way this game was made, we need to pair it with one of the best pump spells in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Limiter Removal, which will allow us to continuously double any machine type attack monster until we reach the maximum limit that the game will allow us, and allow us to capitalize on the ending DP rewards with a huge battle damage value. But this at minimum 6-card combo is no joke, and in order to pull it off consistently, we will need to build a very specific deck, which is where our freshly farmed 40,000 DP comes into play. Since Blackluster Soldier and Banisher of the Light reside in packs that are unlocked much later in the game, then our only way to get them this early is through the password machine, which will cost us 20,000 for Blackluster Soldier and 1,000 for Banisher of the Light. Then we'll need to obtain at least one copy of the card Primal Seed by pulling it from the actual pack it's in, because the password machine is limited to 1 use per card. Luckily, we can unlock the Spell Special 1 pack by first unlocking the Spell Collection 1 pack, which you can do through watching a tutorial in your room and then collecting 90% of that pack. That kind of seems like a lot, but really it should only take around 2,000 to 3,000 DP to do. You might also need to buy a copy of Limited Removal, but you might have even got lucky enough to pull it from the original Life Gain pack, as it's only a rare in that set. Other than that, we're just going to use the rest of our money to buy the very best light and dark machines that are available in the game, which will only cost 1,000 DP each as well. It's also going to help to have a few insurance cards that will help us increase the consistency of this combo, such as Feather of the Phoenix, Magic Jammer, and Monster Reincarnation. This will give us a deck that looks like this and is actually very consistent at pulling this combo off, especially if you include those insurance cards and some things like Giant Trunade, which will help clear the way before you attack for game. So yeah, just one duel into the game and we're already looking pretty OP. And now that we have it put together, we can choose any duelist in the game as a farming target, and I usually pick Cyrus as he's usually pretty low on the opponent tier list. Once we have the proper board set up, you just want to keep pumping the attack of your machine monster until the display loops all the way back to a yellow 0, in which it takes a couple more limiter removals to get the maximum number the game can hold. I'll have a list of all the monsters that I use for this deck list and exactly how many times to pump them, but just know that if it loops all the way back to the original attack, then you've gone too far. And then once you get that final hit, you'll see a massive battle damage value that will greatly affect your payout. This can also slightly vary based on the base of the attack of the monster you used, but even with the weakest machine monster like Cannon Soldier, this will still net you at least 900,000 DP, which will give you way more than enough in order to buy everything in the game. So yeah, after just 2 duels, we're absolutely stacking and have enough money to buy out the shop and some expensive staples from the password machine and build a very good deck that will let us clear those 200 wins much faster. We already have a ton of cards for a machine beatdown deck, which was pretty good in this era, but because of the glitch that lets you chain a limiter removal to a Giant Trunade and it returns to your hand, it makes this archetype insanely broken in this game. It will take a few trips to the shop in order to get those 3 Cybersteins, but many of the packs only have a few in stock, and since buying them out replenishes them faster, you'll pretty much be visiting the shop every week anyways on your road to 100% card completion. In fact, due to another fortunate decision, we won't even need to reach 100% card completion in order to really reach this goal. All we'll need to do is reach 90% in order to unlock the pack Dorothys Gift, which will prioritize giving you cards you don't have whenever you buy it. This means we can actually skip over unlocking a few packs now and just buy a ton of the sets that we have available to us in order to reach that 90%, and then we could just continuously buy Dorothys Gift until we reach that full 100. That means we really only need to do a couple of trivial tasks besides normally unlocking everyone, such as dueling once at the volcano or dueling once at the harbor, which will give us way more than enough packs to choose from in order to unlock Dorothys Gift. Besides collecting all the cards, the rest of the requirements are going to be pretty easy, with the main thing we need to do is stay in Slifer Red until February 6th, as Blair and Gerard require us to stay in Slifer Red for 5 consecutive months, and we'll also need to get 10 wins and then pass one of the exams for those 5 months so we can start to unlock Zane. The timed duels and answering enough exam written questions to reach 60% will take some time, but are of course pretty easy. But the most tedious part of finishing the game is getting 10 wins on all of the main characters, which will require us to spend at least 2 months in Raw Yellow and 3 months in Obelisk Blue, as we can only duel 24 times in a month between exams. So now that you've got all the cards in the game, you've gotten 60% on the written exams, you've gotten all the time duels done, and you've got 200 wins that account for 10 wins on each of the 18 main characters, then the next test that you pass, it will finally tell you that you've reached that King of Games rank and allow you to select any dorm to stay in. And if you're looking for some more technical info on the rest of these requirements, be sure to check out my very old but still very relevant How to Beat GX Duel Academy video, which should give you all the details you need. So after doing nothing for a month and a half, you get 2 wins on the easiest duelist in the school, which makes you filthy rich and allows you to flex on quite literally everyone. And honestly, that's pretty based. So if you like this brief speedrun breakdown, be sure to let me know, and we can go even deeper into some Yu-Gi-Oh! Speedrunning history. And if you have another favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Game you'd like me to cover, please vote for it in the comments, as we will be going on tour quite soon. There is one more thing I forgot to mention, and it's that you dropped this, King.